Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Storytime Society. Thanks for tuning in. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so happy you're here. I'm so glad you're alive. The theme of this episode is confessions / off my chest. So basically the same thing. Confessions, just another way to say it. And let's get into it, girl. Let's get into it. Okay, I'm going to put a trigger warning because there is unaliving attempts and talks of unaliving. If you are triggered by that, don't listen to this story. And I love you, and I'm so happy you're here. The title of the first story is, My girlfriend took her life after we broke up. Her family is now blaming me and spreading my information online. My girlfriend just recently took her life. This is by far the most devastating and traumatizing event I have experienced in my entire life. I've spent 5 weeks total in the hospital after 2 failed unaliving attempts. My girlfriend was very physically and emotionally abusive. She has strangled, struck, and tried stabbing me many times. Whenever I would try to end the relationship, she would threaten to take her life, and mine as well. I've called the police on her and contacted her family, in which she would just say she was kidding. She would later threaten me and have me not contact her family and police again because if I did, she would do something terrible. Anyways, her family has recently began posting my picture and information online. They have also created a narrative that I encouraged her to take her life and that I'm now hiding and fleeing from the police, which none of that is true. What can I honestly do in this situation? It seems like the family is actually terrible because as much as I feel terrible, obviously, for someone to be at that point and take their lives, that doesn't make anything that she did okay. And I feel like she should be held accountable for those actions because the thing that I never, I always hate how it's like immediately after someone dies or passes away, it's always like so positive, but not every person was a good person when they were here. And just because they've died now doesn't mean that we make them into a saint. Like if they did terrible things and they were abusers or killers or SAers or grapists, like let's not pretend they didn't do so much damage while they were alive just because now they have passed away. Of course, she had some mental health issues that were probably unaddressed, but that does not make it okay to be an abuser at all. And this family is just furthering this person's pain more than it should be. Top comments, it seems like they're openly spreading lies about you. Pretty sure that's illegal. You could call the police and explore your options, I'd say. Commenter 2 said, talk to a lawyer. It sounds like grounds to sue for defamation, slander, and harassment. I agree. A lot of people are saying go to a therapist and get a lawyer, which I agree. Like, I'm wondering maybe if someone would take him pro bono or something. I don't know how that works, but there's an update 19 months later, which is very recent, July 24th, 2025. It says, nearly 2 years ago, my girlfriend tragically took her own life. It remains one of the most devastating, life-altering experiences I have ever endured. The pain and trauma from that event have rippled through every corner of my life, reshaping how I see myself, relationships, and the future. I'm just 23, but this experience has aged me far beyond my years. The emotional toll and the weight of everything I've been through have left their mark inside and out. When I first shared parts of this story, I was overwhelmed, drowning in raw emotion, confusion, and chaos that clouded my ability to fully articulate what I was living through. It was rushed and incomplete. Now, with time, distance, and healing, I want to share a more honest and comprehensive account, not just to tell my truth, but to shed light on the complex reality of abusive relationships and grief. Our relationship was deeply complicated, painful, and at times frightening. She was physically and emotionally abusive towards me, behaviors that left scars I carry to this day. The abuse was often unpredictable, and I lived with threats and fear that made leaving feel nearly impossible. It's difficult to explain how emotional guilt and hope intertwine, how I clung to the memories of the good moments and believed against evidence that change was possible. But those signs, in hindsight, were warnings I wish I had recognized and acted on sooner. Throughout our time together, I reached out for help multiple times, calling the police, involving her family, in a desperate attempt to find safety and support. After her passing, her family attempted to pursue charges against me. However, after a thorough investigation, the police found no grounds for any legal action. The lead detective personally assured me that I had done nothing wrong and there was no evidence to implicate me in any way. I fully cooperated with the authorities from the beginning. Despite these official findings, her family began spreading harmful and entirely false claims, including that I was fleeing from the police and on the run. This was a complete fabrication. I was never evading law enforcement. I remained present, accountable, and compliant through every step of the investigation. To protect myself and ensure the truth was represented, I hired a highly respectable lawyer, someone with a strong legal reputation who has also served in Congress. Their guidance and advocacy helped me navigate the wave of public misinformation and personal attacks that followed. While the harassment has diminished over time, some of the false narratives still linger, continuing to cause pain. Since then, I've faced my own battles. Most significantly, an unaliving attempt that led to a 5-week hospital stay, followed by time in a psychiatric facility. It was one of the darkest and most vulnerable periods of my life. Recovery has been a long, slow process, often painful and exhausting. I now work full-time to manage the weight of mounting medical bills and rebuild some sense of stability. I plan to return to college in the fall of 2026, a step that represents both healing and hope for the future. Through it all, the unwavering support of my friends and family have been a lifeline, reminding me that I'm not alone and that it is okay to ask for help. Healing is not linear. Some days are brighter than others, and I'm learning every day to be patient and gentle with myself as I rebuild my life from the fragments left behind. Loving someone who hurts you is confusing and painful. Holding on to the hope of who they could be, while facing the harsh reality of who they are, kept me trapped far longer than I ever imagined. That internal conflict is something I still wrestle with. I share this update to raise awareness about the brutal realities of abusive relationships. Leaving isn't a simple decision. Emotional guilt, fear, and hope can create invisible chains that keep people trapped. If you or someone you know is in this situation, please know that you are not alone and help is available. Please also remember, suicide is never the answer. No relationship, no matter how difficult, should end with the loss of a life. A healthy relationship requires emotional wellness. Your life is precious and worth fighting for. She wasn't a bad person. She was someone deeply struggling with pain and trauma of her own, a pain she couldn't or wouldn't face with help. That painful complexity shapes how I remember her, and I carry that with both sorrow and compassion every day. I loved her and I still do, forever and always. No matter how difficult things became, she'll always be number one in my heart. She will hold a special place there until the very day I die. If you're reading this and feel alone, overwhelmed, or stuck, please reach out. Talk to a trusted family or a professional. You don't have to carry this burden in silence. I hope by sharing my story, I can help others approach situations like this with empathy rather than judgment. We rarely see the full story behind someone's pain. I also kindly ask for respect and privacy as I continue to heal. This path is difficult, and compassion from others means more than criticism ever could. If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health or abuse, please consider connecting with a counselor, helpline, or support group. There is help available, and you are not alone. I'm open to answering questions or having honest conversations, whether in the comments or through direct message. If you're going through something or just need someone to listen, I'm here. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for everyone who has offered kindness, support, or simply taken the time to read this. Your compassion means more than words can say.
If you want extra content weekly, head over to patreon.com/Storytime Society and become a member on there for extra content. Love you.
Well, first of all, that was the most beautifully written post I've ever read. You are definitely wise beyond your years, that is for sure. And I definitely agree with everything. I agree with everything that he's saying. Obviously, it's a complex situation, and I like to believe that people aren't inherently bad, and also people aren't inherently good. Like, we aren't good or bad. We do good things, we do bad things. I mean, and there are complex reasons and issues for every person's actions. And that is only like truly determined on whether the person can take accountability and get help. At some point, clearly, if a person isn't willing to take accountability or get help, or they're just like continuing to do terrible things, then I think you can constitute that as a bad person, in my opinion. Like if someone's over and over again freaking serial killers, you know, like you're sorry, but you're a bad person. Sorry, you're a bad person. You know, I don't feel bad for a serial killer. Sorry. That is one person I cannot have empathy for, because oh my god, wait, okay, this first comment, and what, like, it slipped my mind, which it shouldn't have, because it's obviously a very serious thing. This person said, I'm sympathetic to hurt people hurting people, but I feel like OP and the girl's family are really glossing over the fact that she stabbed him and tried to kill him a bunch of times. One day, many years later maybe, he will wake up and realize this and be full of rage, and I hope he has good coping mechanisms to process it. He will not always love her forever, as he says now. That is also one of the things that I was thinking as well. Like, I don't think that he's going to love her forever. Of course, that's something that you're going to feel now because of almost... I think it's like that trauma bond relationship where he feels like trauma bonded to her because of everything that she put him through. But I definitely glossed over the fact that she stabbed him and tried to kill him a bunch of times. And I am taking accountability for that, because that's actually crazy. And after reading like his very heartfelt update, I kind of like that slipped out of my mind. And now that I'm thinking about it, that's actually the most fucking insane thing that I've ever heard in my life. Like, her trying to stab him and kill him. Maybe she wasn't. Maybe she was a bad person. I'm kind of scared about that. This person said, no, she wasn't a bad person. Rolls eyes. Lows and Highs said, OOP needs a shit ton more therapy. Their abusive ex wasn't a bad person. They still love them and will always be number one in their heart. Yeah, a lot more therapy. They need more time too. Under 2 years, even with therapy, just isn't long enough to get a proper perspective, especially still in their early 20s. Somewhere between 25 and 30, they'll get their 5 to 10 years after the fact, with newly built relationships on top of their old history, the box of grief about the girlfriend's death receding further into the past, etc. They'll put it together. I had some pretty traumatic experiences in my late teens and early 20s, and within a few years, I felt like I'd built up a resilience towards them. It took several more years of perspective to realize to really contextualize and call a spade a spade. There's a lot of living they need to do, not just more therapy. Therapy will help, but time and experience will bring the clarity people seem to be expecting already. Honestly, T, I love that comment. Because life experiences and meeting more people and stuff will definitely help. We're moving on to the next story, and the title is, Tomorrow, my boyfriend is going to ask me to marry him, and I am going to say no. I feel like if I don't tell someone, even strangers, I'll explode. The ache in my heart is only getting worse, and I don't know what I can do to change how I feel. If I had one wish right now, it would be somehow magically change how I feel. A week ago, I found the ring. I think it was a week ago. He knew exactly what ring to buy. A girl can't ask for a more beautiful ring. It's been in his family for years. He also got a backup ring. I also know he asked my dad's permission and that my dad gave it to him despite both of us being young. Well, youngish. My family has always loved him so much. I think they'll feel equally awful after tomorrow. I wish I didn't find the ring. Maybe if I didn't have time to think about it, I would have said yes, but that's not fair to either of us. I'll miss him. I'll miss his scent, his hugs, his laugh, the way he doesn't make me feel dumb when I tell him I don't know something. He'll just explain it to me. No judgment. I'll miss the chemistry we have, how even after years of being together, we still want each other just as much. I won't miss the jealousy, the possessiveness, and the way he feels like he owns me. When we first got together, I thought I could live with his flaws. After all, I wasn't perfect too. But when I saw that ring, I knew I couldn't. I want to be able to have friends even if they are the opposite gender. I want to talk to my coworkers without someone feeling jealous or threatened. I want to sometimes have a girls' night. I want a relationship where my partner doesn't act possessive in the name of being protective. I want someone who won't scream at me, asking me to get in their car and leave with him just because a male friend asked me to hang out. I get why he does it. I understand him. I love him. He's insecure and I get that. He wants to protect me. But what he doesn't understand is that he's hurting me trying to do this. I can't constantly fight and defend myself. That's not the life I see myself having. I feel like he doesn't trust me even after years of me being nothing but loyal. I feel selfish. I promised him I would never leave him. I promised him I would stay and love him forever. I promised we would grow old together, start a family together. He's even trying to be better for me. But it just wouldn't be fair for him to have a wife, though. To have a wife who, even if only for a few moments, resents him. I hope he wants to continue our relationship even though I'll say no. I want to keep all my promises, just not now with the way that we are. I feel like I'm drowning. I don't want to hurt him. I don't want to disappoint everyone I know. I hope I wake up tomorrow and magically change my mind. I hope you don't, girl. I hope you don't. It sounds like I hope, honestly, for the betterment of her life, that he does end up not wanting to continue the relationship because she says no, because it sounds like it's a very unhealthy relationship, and I don't think that she should continue to stay in this relationship. Like, he is obvious, like, I don't think that in a possessiveness is not it. That just literally ain't it. I'm scared of that, truly. And it's pretty damn common to see, especially with men. Like, I've literally been around so many girls that have been in possessive relationships with men that it's really, truly crazy. Like, it's honestly so scary. And I don't like it. Like, I don't like it at all. Okay, this says, edit, the reason why I'm not telling him no now, I've considered that, but from how much I know him, it will be better if I answer when he asks me. Kinder. I know he'll want the chance to do it properly, because otherwise he'll keep wondering, like, what if she didn't find the ring? What if I did it right? What if she's just freaked out, etc.? I know him, and this one is 100% the better way for him to find out, at least considering the other option. It's not a public proposal. There's an update, so now we're gonna read. I feel like I'm like, I also, well, I guess if it's not a public proposal, then it's probably not in front of her family members, right? Because I was thinking, like, I don't know, I'm kind of scared of his reaction, to be honest. Okay, update. Hello, I apologize for the very confusing way in which I worded my original post and for the late update. As you can imagine, the last few days have been hard. English is not my first language, and besides, I didn't even think so many people would read it. I was honestly so shocked to see so many people try and help me understand my feelings. Thank you so very much for all the support, love, and advice. Just to clarify a few things that people found confusing, he already had the family ring with him, his great-grandmother's, but he bought one more. A whole other ring, just in case I didn't like the family one. The backup ring was more modern. I assumed right in thinking he planned to propose with the family ring and then give me the backup ring with a modern alternative. Also, I'm 25 female and he is 26 male. We've been together for 5 years. We'll be 6 this Christmas. A lot of people were asking me why I would want to stay in a relationship, since I talked about how even though I was not ready to get married, I would still want to be with my boyfriend. It's basically because I have faith in us. I want to help him and I want to try everything I can before giving up on us. I love him, and his qualities and lovable quirks are so much more than his flaws. I know he had a not so good childhood, which doesn't help with insecurities. Rather than leave him and lose everything we had, I want to try. Of course, this is all only applicable if I'm happy. I'm still prioritizing myself. I just want to help him along with this too. So on to the update. I ended up talking to him before he proposed. At first, I was so sure that it was better to wait, but a few helpful comments made me realize I'd forever ruin the magic and beauty that comes with proposals if I let him actually do it, only for me to say no. So I texted him and told him to come back home from work as soon as possible. My brother knew I was telling him about my decision my decision just in case things got messy. Not that I think my boyfriend would ever hurt me, but I was just overall very chaotic in my emotions and felt like I needed someone with me if we broke up. He came home. I cooked dinner and we sat together at the table. He could tell I found the ring. I knew that he knew the moment I looked at his face. I'm not sure how to best describe it in English, but there was a certain sadness in the air I couldn't quite understand. Not your typical sadness. I don't know. Anyways, I told him about the ring and he asked me if the answer was yes. I couldn't speak really, but he answered it for himself and said, obviously the answer is no, otherwise we wouldn't be doing this. He asked me the reason and I explained as much as I could. He listened, I cried, and then he cried. And then we just held each other. He was not angry at all, and now I feel guilty for thinking he would scream at me or something. I told him I still love him and that I just didn't want to get married now. He said okay, and then that he wanted to be a better person for me before calling me his wife. I asked him if that meant he wanted to try something like therapy, and he said yes. He was very hurt, though, I could tell. It pained me to see someone I love so much go through that, but this was the only option. I didn't want to get married while he was still this way. We cried more, went for a walk, and I felt hopeful about our relationship for the first time in a while. I think we forgot that love isn't always enough, as someone pointed out in the comment section. I want to understand him more, and I can see that he wants to try and be better with his insecurities and instincts. I know it will be slow, the whole process, and I know he won't magically change, but I'm okay with that. I'm booking an appointment soon. We've been having more honest conversations, especially me, by telling him how hurt I was by some of the things he does. It felt good to communicate like that. He opened up to me about his insecurities and whatnot. Thank you again for validating my feelings. It felt so good to just type all of this out and have so much love and kindness. Thank you. Okay, well, that's good. I mean, I'm really glad he didn't react terribly because I honestly, to be so for real with you, I thought he was going to. I was kind of scared because the way that she described him kind of scared me. The top comment says, I hope they hired one of the greatest therapists in the world to successfully fix this Chinese military parade of red flags. 2B Junkie said, what got me even more was when she said, I get why he does it. I understand him. What do you mean that you get why he does it? I know this could be taken in the technical sense, but everything that follows reads well beyond just technical understanding. She's going to need a therapist that's also a sailor with all the crazy effing mental and emotional knots she's going to need to undo. Someone said she thinks she can fix him. She will find out the hard way the only person who can fix him is him. Once he gets a wedding ring on her, he will be worse. Oh no, that scares me actually because that's honestly so true. Oh, 100%. I totally get why she thought that way, but it's still baffling to see from the outside looking in. She's excusing it in the same way a kid would excuse a parent being upset with them for not coming home and crashing at someone's house without telling them whatsoever. Her meter for normality and concern is totally broken. The last two sentences in her first post were harrowing, with what all came prior. She wrote out all of her wants in a non-shit-headed partner, but doesn't realize all those things should be needs for a healthy relationship. Honestly, true. I really hope that she can realize maybe with therapy she'll start gaining a little bit more of a footing on what a healthy relationship is, and hopefully she ends up going to therapy by herself as well and not just couples therapy, because I feel like that will be the only beneficial thing really, because it does seem like she is young. I mean, she's only 2 years older or 2 years younger than me, but I feel like a lot changes, honestly. As you get older into your late 20s, I feel like things change so quickly. The difference in me at 23, 24 to now as a 27-year-old is just not that many years, but so much has changed. And I've learned so much as a human being. Honestly, the person I was at 20 is baffling to me. I feel like I was a literal child that knew absolutely nothing about the world, nothing about anything, didn't pay attention. I was so ignorant in just everything about life. I just feel like maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm remembering wrong, but I feel like I was so disconnected with everything in the world. And I don't really know even how to explain that. I just feel like I didn't know anything, and I never I think I just had my own issues that I was dealing with, and even just not knowing who I was, at the age of 20 or 18, 19, I was just so lost as a person, just not knowing who I was at all. And I'm not saying I have it all figured out now, but I definitely feel a lot more confident in who I am as a person and a lot more secure with who I am as a person. But yesterday I was thinking about how I feel I feel really happy in life, but at the same time, something that I struggle with is feeling like time is passing me by all the time. I'm only 27 years old, but for some reason I feel like I have let so much time slip away, and I don't have enough time to do things that I want to do. Does that make sense? I feel like I'm 60, but then I have to remind myself hey girl, you're actually only 27 and you can still do all of these things. You actually aren't about to die, you know? I don't know what is wrong with me. I always feel like I should have done things earlier, or I'm just doing things too late in my life that I should have done at 20, or I always think I should have been at this point in my life where I can afford things and I have a stable life when I was 22. And then it makes me upset because I'm I could have been doing things all these years and actually living my life, whereas I feel I've just been kind of drowning for the past the past 25 years of my life, and I've just been trying to stay above water and stay afloat and not drown, just with careers and money and life in general and relationships and things, and trying to figure things out. Does that make sense? And now I feel I'm just heading towards a much more stable part of my life, and I feel so much more secure in my career and my job and my life, in my relationships, friendships, so many things. And I'm I wish I was like this earlier. I don't even know how to explain it. That really has nothing to do with the story, but I have no idea how to explain it. But anyways, we're going to move on to the next story, okay? The title is, My Son Needed a Liver Transplant. I'm not a match because he isn't my biological son. I, 26 male, have been with my wife, 26 female, since we were in school. We have a 4-year-old son together, or so I thought. He had to be rushed to the hospital a while ago because he somehow managed to get into my wife's sleeping pills. She swears she put the lid on properly and put them in her drawer, but he somehow found them and managed to open the childproof lid and took a lot of them. He went into acute liver failure, and we were told he would possibly need a transplant. Obviously, I said I would do it, and they did all of their tests, blood, tissue, compatibility, etc. Their tests came back, and I was told I'm not a match because of my blood type. If I remember correctly, their exact words were, "There is an unexpected discrepancy in the blood we tested." The doctor kept saying it would be better if he could speak to me in private away from my wife, but she didn't want to leave or for me to leave. Now I know why, but at the time I was confused. Eventually she let me go, and the doctor told me my blood type is O. I knew that, but my son's was AB. I'm not dumb, and I knew what he was trying to tell me. He probably couldn't tell me outright, so I asked if that means it's impossible that I'm his biological father, and he said yes. I didn't want to make a scene in the hospital, so I just went home. I wanted to stay with my son. I know he isn't actually mine, but I've been his dad for 4 years. I knew I wouldn't be able to stay calm. Thankfully, all the tests they ran were in case the worst happened, and it didn't. His liver has managed to recover, and he's on the mend. I still haven't gotten any answers from her, and I don't really want any. I know she slept with someone else, and the kid isn't mine. That's all I need to know. I moved out and let her stay at the house because she has him, and I can't kick him out of his house. I'm currently staying at my mother's until I can figure out what to do for the best. I'm not really good with my emotions, but I can't admit this has hit me hard. It feels the same as when my best friend passed away, even though I haven't lost anybody in that sense this time. And I really don't know what to do. I've lost my wife and my son at the same time, and it's been over a week since it happened, and I still have no clue what to do. She's been spamming me with texts and calls, asking to talk and asking me to let her explain and telling me that it meant nothing and that she only loves me. But I really don't want to hear it. Nothing she can say will fix it at all. I'm not taking her back, so I don't give a shit what she has to say. But I can't just abandon my little man. I've been his dad his whole life, and that doesn't just go away because we haven't got the same blood. But it also means I have no rights to see him when I divorce my wife. I feel like a complete idiot for not seeing anything wrong. The chances she cheated on me once and got pregnant are low. So realistically, I know it had to be something that happened a few times. And I didn't suspect anything. I didn't suspect the kid I had raised for 4 whole years wasn't actually mine. I don't know why I'm posting it here, because I can't even ask for advice. But thanks for reading anyway. I feel like he should just adopt the kid. I feel like the wife would probably be okay with that as well. And I wonder if she knows who the dad is. I'll never understand why someone would keep a secret like that. That's what really gets me. It's just, I get that you want to stay with your husband, but do you realize, like, they're going to find out at some point. And then you're going to lead your husband to believe and lead your son to believe that that's his dad and that's his son. That's just so much trauma. That's so much trauma that's so selfish. That's so selfish just to get out of a situation because you don't want to have to deal with it. And then you're putting your own child and someone that you love, your husband, I guess. Like, I don't know. Do you love him? In all this turmoil just so that you can avoid the turmoil at the time. And now it's 4 years later and the poor damn little kid. It's like, I mean, obviously good thing he's only 4 because it's not like they need to be like, this isn't actually your dad, you know. That's not really something that needs to happen. But at least it wasn't like he was 18 and all this time they had been pretending that this was the real dad, but then like he all of a sudden finds out it's not. I just think that's like crazy. Like, why the hell would she do that? It's not. I mean, yeah, clearly it's because it's just a selfish thing to do. That's really all that can explain it, because what else would explain that? But I mean, legally, I do think adopting him would be the best bet, and then you don't have to worry about not getting to see him when you guys divorce. I don't know if she'll do that, though. I feel like she would be okay with that, because, like, wouldn't you want your son? I mean, I don't know at this point, because she's so selfish that maybe she wouldn't want her son to have him as a father anymore, because she clearly can't make good decisions for the life of her. But that would definitely be the best bet for both of them. And then they can like co-parent and be good on good terms. And that can be his kid. You know, I'm really glad that he's not like, ew, what the hell? Goodbye. I'm never talking to either of them ever again. And he's like actually wanting to be involved in this kid's life. Okay. Top comment. You can leave your wife without abandoning your son. Talk to a lawyer, but this is unlikely to be the case. She's responding to him saying, but it also means I have no rights to see him when I divorce my wife. You're understandably spiraling at the moment. Take a few days to calm down. Don't drink, and then go talk to a lawyer about your options. Someone said, solid advice. You've been the dad this whole time. Don't let shock make you give up without seeing what's possible legally. True, she knew there was a possibility he wasn't the dad, but she wanted to keep claiming that he is, so I doubt a court would take a guy like this away from the child. I think it's usually quite the opposite. Since he signed the birth certificate, was the father figure since birth, the courts wouldn't be likely to free him from his rights and obligations towards that kid, even if he wanted to. Courts prioritize kids over parents, and they would deem it's in the kid's interest for him to remain the legal father, regardless of whether he is the bio dad. Oh, wait, I kind of forgot that you sign a birth certificate when the kid is born. Dang, nabbit. Not doing that, but like good. That's good, because that means that you're the dad. As per the birth certificate, you are the father. So, hey, let's go. Let's go. I'm happy for him. I hope he reads these comments and he's like, yeah, you're right. Actually, I did sign that birth certificate. And like, what are they? They're not going to be like, oh, you're not the father because your blood isn't, or your blood doesn't match this kid's blood, so we're going to erase your name off the birth certificate. They're not going to do that. He's the father, so he's the father. We're going to move on to the advice segment. If you want unprofessional advice from me, there is a Google form in the link in the description. There's a link to a Google form, okay? So you can either do a confession or an advice question on that same form. If you have a confession, leave it in there. If you have an advice question, leave it in there. And I also have a Google phone number that you can call and leave a voicemail on, and you can either do a confession on there or ask for an advice question, okay? Slay. The number is 561-264-7017. Okay, this says, for background, I'm 26 female. My fiance is 31 male. We've been together for over 6.5 years and have been engaged almost a year. Years ago, I used to react explosively to betrayal or hurtful things he would do. I'd yell, cry, and it just wasn't healthy. Over the past year and a half, I've worked incredibly hard on myself. I've found God again and started rebuilding that relationship, and I've learned to express myself calmly and directly, no more outbursts. Now, when something hurts me, I explain how and why, without holding back, but without anger. I thought that growth would help him feel safer to be honest with me, but he still lies. About 2 weeks ago, I stumbled across a quote from my landlord, who runs a very sketchy peptide business out of her house, for testosterone, addressed to my fiance. For context, we had already discussed that I wasn't comfortable with him getting testosterone from her. Not only is it unregulated, it just feels unsafe and shady, and she's also our landlord. Blurring those lines feels wrong. She had offered it to him in exchange for being late on car payments. She bought one of his cars, and he was allowing her to pay it off in installments. I was really uncomfortable with the whole arrangement. When I found the quote, it raised a red flag. I texted him asking what it was about and why she was quoting him for multiple different steroids, including testosterone. He explained that she offered it, but he didn't accept and asked her for no peptides in the deal. I decided to trust him and let it go. I wanted to trust him. I didn't want to fall back into being reactive. I gave him the benefit of the doubt. A few days later, something still didn't sit right. I had a gut feeling. I asked him to open his safe to prove he wasn't hiding anything. He chuckled a little like I was being silly, but he opened it anyway. No testosterone. I felt relieved. Like finally, he's actually being honest. After that, things were really good for a week or so. I felt like I could breathe again, like trust might actually be rebuilt. Then a few more days go by. I've been visiting his house for a few weeks while I have a break in between semesters. We used to live together, but I moved out to go back to college. He's supposed to move in with me once he starts his new job closer to where I live. I was cleaning up because the AC unit kept leaking and making a mess on the carpet, and I decided to shampoo the area. While I was working, I said a prayer silently in my head. Lord, if he is lying to me, show me. If he is worth trusting, show me. Just show me what I need to see. I went upstairs to grab a big tote sitting on the top shelf of the closet to put the leaking AC into. When I pulled it off the shelf, it felt like there was something in it. When I opened the tote, there was a bunch of testosterone vials, syringes, lube, and a fleshlight. I was stunned. I just stood there staring. I literally felt my heart break. Again, I sent him a picture of what I found and told him when he got home from work we needed to have a serious talk. He replied with, "Throw it all away." I was already planning on it. I asked him how I was supposed to believe that. I told him if he was going to throw it away, he would have just already. He said, "I've been trying to throw it away, but you've been at the house with me, and I just wanted to toss it all and not have to admit to having it. I'm sorry, that's the wrong way to handle it, but I'm going to throw it all out." I told him that was a really shitty thing to do, and that it would have helped regain my trust had he just told me and then thrown away when I confronted him about the safe. He said, "I'm sorry for not admitting it and throwing it away in front of you. I just get nervous to how you'll react to stuff, and I need to work on that." Turns out not only had he lied to me about getting testosterone, but my landlord was in on the lie and knew I didn't want him taking it. So she kept it hush-hush from me too. What hurts the most is that this wasn't just a lie. It was a calculated one. He knew I would be upset. He knew it was something we had talked about. He knew I didn't want him doing this. And instead of telling the truth, he laughed when I asked to see the safe and let me feel like everything was okay, while knowing full well that it wasn't. When he got home, we had a long talk. I told him if he truly wants this relationship, he needs to come up with a plan for how he's going to rebuild my trust and actually act on it. I truly want to work through this. I love him. I care about our future, but I'm starting to realize that unless he's willing to change as a person It doesn't matter how much I want this to work. I can't rebuild trust alone. I can't force him to be honest. He says he lies because he doesn't want to see me overreact, but that excuse is getting old. I don't yell. I don't attack. I explain. I cry. And I ask questions he doesn't want to answer. That's not overreacting. That's being honest. That's being a partner. I don't know where to go from here. I don't want to give up, but I'm so tired of being lied to. What do I do? How can I heal from this and move forward? How can I learn to trust someone who has hurt and lied to me so many times? Wait, okay. Sorry. So I'm seeing that you have done a lot of work, and I'm seeing that you've really worked on yourself to try with this, try to get better for not only yourself, but your relationship. And what I'm not seeing is the same effort on his side. And I'm just seeing him kind of using your reactions against you, which as someone who was kind of the same, I'm not really a yeller, but I definitely used to react a lot more harshly. I don't really know how to explain it. Just more bitter and upset. I wouldn't freak out. I do a thing, and I still kind of struggle sometimes with it, where I will ice you out for a little bit, because I have a really hard time talking about something when I'm upset in the moment. I need to let myself process it to be able to talk about it. Literally, genuinely, I feel like someone is duct taping my mouth shut and not letting me be able to express my opinions or my emotions in moments like that. So I understand. And I feel like when things have happened in past relationships with someone that I've been in a relationship with, I've done the same thing where I've reacted poorly, and then from then on they'll feel like they can't tell me things because of my reaction. So I understand, and I think a lot of people could relate to that, honestly. But I feel like you guys, the last kind of route that you could go is therapy, couples therapy together. But I think he needs to be putting in more effort, because it seems like you're the only one that's putting in more effort in working on things, when he also has an issue with lying, and you worked on your issue. Now it's time for him to work on his. And I think that if he doesn't show true effort in wanting to get better himself and also as a couple, then I don't know how you can continue a relationship with someone who isn't really putting in any effort, and then also just blaming you for the way that you are going to react to things. Because I think that now that you've really worked on that, I understand that being an excuse in the past, but now I feel like using that against you is just a manipulation tactic almost. I don't know. I'm just saying, obviously, this isn't professional advice. I'm just saying this kind of sounds like it would be something manipulative, oh, I didn't want to tell you because I was scared about how you would react, even though you've worked on that and you don't react like that anymore. Sounds like something that he's just using against you and gaslighting you. So I think that the number one thing here is he needs to be putting in more effort. You guys possibly need to go to couples therapy, and he has to show some type of effort on his side, on his end. And I think that's really all I can suggest, honestly. And I really hope that you figure it out. I really hope that you guys can figure it out. Obviously, it seems like you really love him. It sucks to realize that sometimes love just isn't enough. There's a lot of things that go into a relationship. It's very complex, and there needs to be effort from both sides for it to truly work out. So I hope that you figure it out. I wish you nothing but the best, and I wish you luck in figuring that out. I hope that you guys can get some therapy together and really both grow together, and I hope he can grow as a person as well. Another thing that I want to address this because I got this in which it's not advice or a confession, but someone did say, "Hi Jamie, sorry, this isn't a confession or asking for advice. I'm sending it here because I didn't want my comment to be seen negatively by you or others, as this isn't scrutiny. It's genuine curiosity. I love your podcast. You're so funny and a great host, so I hope this doesn't come off wrong. In a newer episode, you said you bought a Tesla. I was just curious as to what made you want to buy a Tesla despite your political views, as you have spoken out against Trump and Elon. Do you feel like your purchase supports Elon and his political career? Genuinely curious as someone that agrees with your views. Best. I wanted to address this because obviously, like, I did get a couple comments about me getting a Tesla, and like, I don't know. Obviously, yes, I am a very passionate person. I care about politics. I care about like human rights, and I care about the betterment of people. But at the same time, like, I am a human, and I also do things out of selfishness sometimes, and like, nobody's perfect. And I wanted a Tesla. Like, I'm going to be so honest and say that I have always wanted a Tesla. Long before anything happened, with the whole Elon stuff. I've always wanted an electric vehicle. I've always wanted a Tesla in specific because of a lot of the safety features of it. Just all the features. I think that it's a really cool car, and I don't regret my purchase at all. I'm very happy with my purchase, and it makes me feel, as an anxious driver, it makes me feel a lot safer. Another thing that I care about is the environment. Genuinely, I just wanted a Tesla. I've never had the money to buy a car before, and this is the car that I really wanted. This is the car I've always wanted, and it was a really big goal of mine ever since, like, years ago. I have it in my manifestation books of, like, I will have a Tesla. I have a Tesla. Like, literally, I've always wanted one, so I got one. That's all. I love it. I love my car. I'm really glad I got it. I feel very safe in it. I'm not always going to do what you want me to do. A lot of people maybe won't agree with some things, and that's okay. Not everyone is going to agree with everything that I do. That's really all I have to say about that. And I love you guys. Remember not to put people on pedestals, even your favorite creators. And obviously, like, I really appreciate all of the support. Like, I always am so happy to get like a positive comment. And when people are like complimenting me and saying that like I'm a good person, and that obviously means a lot to me. Sometimes I'll look at those comments and I'll be like, I love that. Like, I try my best to be a kind, genuine, good person. But at the same time, I'm like, I am also not a perfect person, and I can be mean. I can be a bitch. I can be not the nicest person. I think that's anyone. No one is just one thing all the time. Like, I think that makes sense. Obviously, you guys see one side of me here, and I'm not saying that when I shut off the camera, I'm like fucking punching babies or anything. But obviously, like, I'm a person, and I do try my best every day to be a good person, be a genuine, kind person, and treat everyone with respect and kindness. But that also doesn't mean that sometimes I'm in a bad mood. Sometimes maybe I'm upset. Maybe I'm not the nicest. Maybe one time I'm also a bitch. But anyways, yeah, that's all I have to say about that. I love you guys so much, and love you. Have a good day. Bye.
Storytime Society is now available on all listening platforms. If you are on any of those listening platforms, I would really appreciate it if you rated me 5 stars. Thanks for all the support.
Love you guys. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.